How is everyone doing today? Welcome back to On The Ball. Welcome back to another transfer update and a very significant one we've got for you today. We brought you the news of Kylian Mbappe yesterday, and there has been updates today regarding the French striker, and Romano has brought us that Al Hilal have submitted a formal bid to PSG in order to open talks with Kylian Mbappe. Understand it's worth 300 million euros, which is a record fee. There is no talks on the player's side as of yet, but PSG remain convinced that Mbappe has already agreed contract with Real Madrid for next season. James Benge of CBS says, on top of Al Hilal's 300 million euro offer for Mbappe, the player is going to be offered a salary of 700 million euros for just 1 year, and that's a weekly wage of 13 million euros. The deal will allow him to depart to Real Madrid for free next summer. So just to put that in a bit of context for you guys, 58.5 million euros a month, 13.5 million euros a week, 1.9 million euros a day, nearly 80,000 euros an hour, 1,300 euros a minute, and 22 euros per second is the offer from Saudi Arabia. And when you look at it, like, can he really reject something like that when he knows he's going to go to Real Madrid in a year's time? PSG are not going to accept anything probably other than this bid now. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense on the cusp of things.
If they're going to be offering that absolutely obscene amount of money, I mean, the guy could drop a tenner and it's not worth him picking it up.
Tenner?
On the floor.
Tenner?
Yeah,
tenner.
22 a second.
He could drop 50 quid on the floor.
No, it's 22 a second.
Oh,
so
second.
The second it takes to pick up the 50 quid is worth it, but not a tenner. It's not worth
ridiculous.
him picking up the £10.
It's ridiculous money.
Unbelievable amount of money we're talking about here. And I think to get Mbappe would be a massive coup for the Saudi Arabian League. Obviously, they've got Ronaldo already, so that's a massive name. And they're obviously getting a lot of big names around Europe, but Mbappe is a different kettle of fish. That would signal, even if it's just for a year, that would signal like massive move from the Saudi league to get him through the door. It's just madness how they're prepared to spend 300 million euros, and then that, like, literally they're going to make him close to a billionaire for 1 year's work. And from Mbappe's point of view, you could argue he's wasting a year out in Saudi Arabia when he could be playing, for Champions Leagues and stuff. But for that amount of money, when it's only 1 year and he'll be in Real Madrid in a year's time, I can understand it. I think it makes complete sense from his point of view. I don't get it from Saudi's point of view. If it's only for a year's time, they're investing all this money. I guess it puts a lot of attention on the Saudi League, but are they really going to get a return on that investment just for that year? It's going to be it's madness. It's absolute madness. So I don't understand it from their point of view. I need to do it for a year and to pay that amount of money. But from Mbappe's point of view, as cold as it is, the money talks, and that kind of money definitely does talk. And I think it's, if you'd asked me a couple of days ago, is there any possibility this kind of deal could happen? I would have said no, but I never would have thought they would have gone that crazy in terms of money. It's mad money.
And when people talk about him going and wasting a year of his career, which is fair enough, but like, really, what other options were there for him? Like, he had his deal lined up for Real Madrid in a year's time. Real Madrid are not going to offer the money that PSG want this summer. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. PSG don't want him anymore in terms of unless he's going to sign a contract. So, I mean, what other options are there for him, really?
Well, he could have forced his stay at PSG, but it depends what PSG were going to do to kind of prevent him from staying. Were they really serious about leaving up squads and all that kind of stuff? Because I really believe, yes, that they want to sell him, but if he was refusing to leave, they would have played him, and they would have, especially in Champions League and stuff, they would have given themselves the best opportunity when it comes to it, and push comes to shove, they would have played him. So he could have stayed for a year and won another French title and try and win the Champions League, albeit it doesn't look like PSG are doing anything right now in that competition. But when this kind of money's on the table, it's only a year, really. Like, he comes back at 25, back into Europe. A year is not that long in football anymore, and then he can get his dream move to Real Madrid. So I can actually see this one actually happening, which is crazy. But then Mbappe, then look, if I can't see it. Obviously, no club's going to match that offer. So do PSG keep rejecting all the other offers and just accept this one? I mean, I don't know how it plays out. Is this destined to happen now?
I think it is destined to happen because he only wants to join Real Madrid in Europe, and that's the sticking point here. Because
Spurs are interested.
Yes, Spurs are interested, and they said Chelsea as well, and a few other clubs.
Offering 50 grand a week with a really big goal bonus.
Yeah, but look, I think that if he only wants to join Real Madrid, then the hands are tied between everyone, and I think this move makes complete sense. And look, everyone in this situation are winners at the end of the day. You look at PSG; they're getting 300 million euros for a player with 1 year left in his contract. Real Madrid get their star man for free, and Mbappe gets a crazy, insane, obscene amount of money into his bank account for a year, and then gets his dream move for Real Madrid. So it kind of suits everyone, this deal.
Yeah, it's crazy how it has actually happened. We're actually seriously considering the best player in world football probably right now going over to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And that is a big statement
about
where that league is potentially heading. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that affects the rest of the market. People see Mbappe go, like, because Ronaldo, it's like, okay, he's 38, like, he's obviously at the end of his career, it doesn't really change too many people's opinions on that Saudi league. But Mbappe going there all of a sudden, I know some other players are going there, but no one anywhere near the profile of Mbappe. And if he does end up going there, even if just for a year, maybe it will make it a lot more comfortable for a lot more other players to start going there.
Yeah, potentially. It's actually worrying with the landscape of football now, because landscape of football is changing massively with the Saudi league
rapidly
here. And like, where do you think the landscape lies in around like 5 to 10 years?
That's the big question mark. I think over the next couple of years, I'm sure it's going to gain a lot of attention. I don't know if people are going to start watching it regularly. We'll have to wait and see, but it's definitely getting a lot of attention, and it's all in geared up for them to try and win a World Cup bid. I think in 2040, I think it is, they want to get the World Cup. But whether in 5 years this is still around, I'm still skeptical about it. I don't know how sustainable pumping all this money is unless they're getting the views and the attention, and I don't know if it's going to match up. And I think in 5 years' time it might break down, in my opinion.
Yeah, potentially, but it is very. I wouldn't be totally surprised if they buy their way into the Champions League and start hosting Champions League finals and stuff like that.
If that happens, then that's a different conversation.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about a potential big move in the Premier League for Michael Olise of Crystal Palace. Romano says that Chelsea and Man City have both have Michael Olise in their list. Understand there's a release clause in his contract for around £35 million. Both clubs are waiting for clarity about the conditions of the injury he picked up last month. Fabrice Hawkins of RMC Sport says that Chelsea have made an offer of less than €45 million to Crystal Palace, and the player has given the green light for the move. Obviously, we know what a great time he had of it in the Premier League last year, grabbing I think 10 or 11 assists in the Premier League, and I think this will be a great move for either Man City, Chelsea and Michael Olise.
There is a bit of conflicting reporting from other journalists who claim that when Olise signed a new contract earlier in the season that the release clause got taken out. So Romano's claim there is still a release clause, and other, I think, journalists closer to Palace saying there isn't one. I think 35 million is ridiculously cheap in my opinion for someone like Michael Olise. I think it's an unbelievable deal. I think in a weird way City might need him more than Chelsea, because Chelsea, they've got Madueke at the moment, who's obviously quite a talented right winger who's in a very similar position to Olise. Obviously, Olise is ahead of him at the moment, but Madueke, they just spent quite a bit of money on him only in January, so they've already got a player in that position. So I don't see him being badly needed at Chelsea as much as City. But I don't know. I'm sceptical whether this is true. 35 million. It seems, because it just seems like that bid would like that. I think it's one of the. It's a size of money which shouldn't be a second thought for someone of his quality. So, like, in my opinion, if there really is a 35 million release clause, that deal, like that bid should be accepted like yesterday. You know what I mean? That deal should already be on its way. So I'm kind of skeptical whether there is an actual 35 million release clause. I think it'd be a brilliant signing for either Palace, City or Chelsea. If I was City, I would muscle my way in there if I was them.
I mean, he would be a perfect replacement for Riyad Mahrez, wouldn't he?
Long term, 100%. 21 years old. I don't think he's going to come in and immediately be getting Mahrez numbers within a year, but I think in the next 5 years he'll probably be doing it more often than not, for sure. And I think he's got serious. This guy is on his way to being a star in the Premier League. I think he's already showing it for Palace, and it's been a really hard week for Palace fans, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Zaha, which we'll get into in a minute, going out to Galatasaray. Olise potentially leaving. Where does that leave Crystal Palace with Roy Hodgson taking the job once again? Do you think they're in trouble in terms of relegation battle next season?
I think if they don't recruit smartly, if they don't use the money smartly, I think they could well be in a lot of trouble, because they heavily relied on Zaha, Olise and Eze. Those two are gone. Eze's still there, but then, you know, he's linked up with the likes of like Edouard and Jordan Ayew and Mateta at the moment. Obviously, they still need to replace him, but where are they finding that kind of quality? They did so well to get Olise for 8 million, and they've had Zaha for so long. And those two players, if they do, I mean, Zaha's left. If Olise does end up leaving, I mean, I do worry for them a bit. I do worry for them.
And another way you got to look at it is that Eberechi Eze only has 2 years left in his deal, and will he sign a new deal in the next year if these players go and they don't replace them adequately? Like, you're potentially talking about Eberechi Eze going for a cut price deal next summer as well.
And also, I don't think Hodgson's a great appointment. I really don't. I know he saved them last season, but I've had my reservations about that narrative, in my opinion, anyway. But obviously, he kept them up and they were playing well at the end of last season. But I do think there was a reason they let him go couple years ago, because they were kind of done with him. He was coming to the end of his career, and he wasn't able to kind of produce the same kind of results of football that he was early in his career, and he was getting on a bit. So I don't understand why they've reappointed him. I know they saved him, but I think that as well, that I reckon he might be one of the first managers to get sacked.
Yeah, very well could be. Let's talk about another done deal, this time from the Bundesliga, and it's Marcel Sabitzer, as Florian Plettenberg says that Marcel Sabitzer will join Dortmund for 90 million euros from Bayern Munich, 5-year contract. He'll complete his medical today and then join up with his new teammates in the USA, and Romano just confirming that as well, saying Marcel Sabitzer to Dortmund from Bayern, here we go. Pretty much all the details are the same as what Florian Plettenberg also reported as well. This is a great deal for Borussia Dortmund, in my opinion, and I thought Marcel Sabitzer had a good time of it in Manchester United. Maybe not as consistent as maybe he would have liked, but I think he's a top player, and I think Dortmund have got a really good deal here. Yeah,
we know that for some reason it didn't quite work at Bayern for the couple of years he was there. He was really highly sought after when they did get him from Leipzig. He was one of the most consistent midfielders in the Bundesliga at the time. Hasn't worked out at Bayern, had a decent loan spell at United, but I'm confident he's going to get back to his best at Dortmund. I think it'll really suit him the way they play, and I think he'll fit in nicely as a Bellingham replacement, and I think they've got a really good player there.
Yeah. Next up, let's talk about Alain Saint-Maximin, winger of Newcastle. He is going out to Saudi, as Harvey Barnes has come in to replace him already. So Romano report, Alain Saint-Maximin to Al Ali. Here we go. Verbal agreement reached. First part of medical test passed 2. All parties waiting to check the documents before getting the deal signed. A contract until 2026 to be signed soon, and will join Mendy, Firmino and Mahrez at Al Ali. So building up quite a team there, Al Ali.
Front three of Mahrez, Firmino and Saint-Maximin. That's a solid front three, to be honest. There's a weird situation with this Saint-Maximin deal, because obviously Newcastle owned by Saudis, and there was potential conflict of interest. People accused the Saudi club of inflating the fee to basically get Newcastle more, like unorganically inflating the fee to give Newcastle more money. But I think it's an odd situation, because 25 million euros is a pretty fair fee, I think, for Saint-Maximin. So I don't know where this business is coming from. I think they're just trying to use anything they can to try and attack the situation because of frustration. But I don't see a problem with that fee for a player of Saint-Maximin's quality. I think in the current market it's a pretty fair fee. If anything, you could argue he's undervalued. You probably could go for 30. It's a shame to lose him from the Premier League. He's such an exciting player, but another player who again is seeing the money, and I don't think he's going to get that sort of money anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Look, I agree with you. It is a shame to lose someone that exciting from the Premier League. To bring in Harvey Barnes as a replacement for him, like I think I said it a couple of videos ago, that I think it's a good replacement. I think he'll bring more consistency to that spot for Newcastle, and but you do miss that kind of raw excitement that Alain Saint-Maximin does bring. And another exciting player going out to Saudi, and another reason maybe to tune in to the Saudi League next season.
Potentially.
Let's talk about that Wilfried Zaha move now. He has joined Galatasaray on a free transfer. Agreement has been reached between the two parties. Documents are being checked soon. The medical is being booked as well, and a 3-year deal is expected for Wilfried Zaha. We saw pictures of him arriving in Turkey last night as well. So this one is actually one that kind of surprised me, because we did hear that Zaha was on the verge, or it looked like he was going to sign again for Crystal Palace, but then on the flip of a switch, he's joined Galatasaray. I mean, I don't really understand why he goes to Galatasaray when he had offers from the Saudi League, probably could have had offers in the Premier League as well as around Europe too.
It's a bit of a sad situation for Zaha, because I'm a massive fan of his, and I believe he could have been in a better team, a real star, really could have pushed his game on a bit. And I think obviously at Crystal Palace for many years, especially under Hodgson, I felt like he was held back a bit by a lot of their defensive tactics. He had to do a lot of the work by himself, and as soon as he got partnered up with Eze and Olise, you saw his output start to increase, and he started to really up his performances. And then obviously he always wanted to leave Palace for a few years now. We know that he was never going to re-sign a contract. I was hoping that a top club was going to pick him up. I really hope, because I believe he's got so much to offer. The problem with Zaha is he was on 200 grand a week, or he was on about 150 grand a week at Palace. He's obviously on a free transfer going to want near double that, essentially. At 30 years of age, to be paying that amount of money, and apparently he's just picked up a serious hamstring injury. So that has led to a situation where at 30 years of age, clubs aren't willing to take a risk on him for that kind of wages when they don't know if this hamstring injury is going to be a reoccurring issue. And it's a massive shame, because I really believe he could be easily a top six club in the Premier League, starting on the wing and be a star for them. But it seems as though no one wants to take that risk. And I think it's always going to be a great what if. What if he would have gone to a different club? Because I always feel like he got that United move too early. And I think if he would have joined a top club in the last few years, I reckon he could have gone on to being one of the stars in the Premier League. And it's a shame it's never going to happen now, because he's gone to Galatasaray. Obviously, they're probably offering a really good wage packet. He's going to get Champions League football. So I guess it's a chance to do that for him. But I just feel like it's a bit of a waste of talent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like that is the sticking point in this deal, is Champions League football, in my opinion. I think he could have gone out to the Saudi League, probably earned more money than he is doing at Galatasaray. I think the only reason he is going to Galatasaray is because he's going to get paid handsomely anyway, and he gets to play in the Champions League, which has been his dream. He's made no secret of that over the last couple of years, how he wants to play in the Champions League. So there must have been no other clubs in the Champions League willing to take that punt on him at the end of the day.
That's a shame, and it's a shame.
And last but not least, let's talk about Kyle Walker. Florian Plettenberg saying it's planned that he won't play against Bayern on Wednesday in Tokyo. Bayern is aware of it. Understand it's all going in the right direction. Bayern and Man City will negotiate in Tokyo this week, as reported. Walker wants to join Bayern Munich now, and Guardiola is 100% informed. Deal should be finalised soon. So Kyle Walker is going out to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, good move for him, I think. From Man City's point of view, losing a leader like that, especially after losing Gundogan, they're losing a few of the experienced heads in the dressing room. But look, I don't think it'll hurt Man City too much long term. I think they got enough money to find a replacement. I know Walker's still a very good player, but I think it would make sense for everyone. Walker gets a new opportunity, Bayern get a good right back, and City can look for a replacement who is a better long term fit.
Does that reopen the door for João Cancelo back into the doors?
Potentially, but apparently there's proper issues between him and Guardiola. So unless they can resolve that, I still think he leaves.
Yeah, it's strange that they're reporting there's big issues between, but he still played the friendly, didn't he? And he still seems to be getting reintegrated into the squad. So maybe those issues are being overstated a little bit.
Yeah, potentially. But we know that how Man City like to play now, with almost like 4 centre backs at the back. Maybe they want to go in a different direction when it comes to their back four.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is your transfer update for today. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts regarding all of these transfer rumours, including Mbappe's a monstrous deal to go over to Saudi for this coming season. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.